So, I've explained it to you a million times, but I'm going to tell you something new in a second. But just to introduce it, the idea of the Yud K Vav K, and I'm telling you, whenever you learn about the Yud K Vav K, Hashem's holiest name, always think about it as like Yud, and then under that is the Vav. Yud, and then Hey, and then Vav, and then Hey. And of course, the bottom Hey stands for this world, and the Yud is the highest aspects of Hashem's light in this world, in this universe. And so that Yud radiates light down to that first Hey, which is really, Reb Tzadok HaKohen stands for Olam Haba. Hey is also a vessel, so it's really containing that magnificent light in an amazing way, just like you would imagine exists in Olam Haba. And then the letter Vav, it's drawing down that light into the bottom Hey, which again is a vessel. It's drawing it down into this world. Okay, so you've probably heard me say that dozens of times. But now I'm going to tell you whole nother shot of Yud K Vav K, again from Reb Chaim Vital, who's saying it in the name of the Ari in a book entitled The Rashbi, Sayings of the Rashbi. So it goes like this. The Yud of the Yud K Vav K is the number 10, and that stands for the 10 Sefirot, meaning to say that at the highest levels of creation, you have perfection. Okay? Because all 10 Sefirot are there. But the real Chiddush, the real breakthrough idea here is that when we get to the letter Vav. Because the letter Vav, normally, just like I said it before, you always think about it, or I always think about it, as drawing down the light into this world. But he says it differently here. He says that, you know what the Vav is? The Vav is not a Yud. Meaning to say, the Vav is the number 6, and it's not the number 10. And it's the number 6 because in that in-between connecting zone of creation between the highest and the lowest, which is this world, that connecting sort of pipeline, which is the Vav, also known as Zer Anpin, is only 6 Sefirot. When it joins down with our world, it becomes 7, but it's incomplete. Now, do you know how I'm always telling you that everybody's got the same question? If there's a God, why is the world so messed up? And we've got a great answer, because the world isn't finished yet. And here you actually see it in the name of God, the unfinished aspects of creation. So let me just review it for you, just so you're following. You've got the Yud, which is 10, that's the 10 Sefirot. But then when you get to the Vav, that only is the number 6, which shows the incompletion of the world. Okay? Well, that letter Vav, see, I'll tell you something so far out. This is just amazing, okay? That letter Vav stands for the 6 directions, which actually, it's called the Vav Ketsiot. That's how they say it in the Holy Sfarim, the Vav Ketsiot, the 6 directions. And that's the in-between, between the highest and the lowest. Now you also have 6 days of creation, which means from the starting point of the beginning of creation, you're adding dimensions until you get to Shabbos. Not only that, but the word Breshis is 6 letters, which is also talking about this incompleteness. You see, because basically this pathway is only a pathway so that the higher light can get down to the lowest level. And then what happens is God becomes reunited with himself. And that in between, that Vav, is actually shorthand for the human being. Because we get to play this role by doing Torah and mitzvahs. And again, that Vav is the 6 letters of Breshis. And it's the 6 days of creation, which is the 6,000 years. And it's also the human being as we exist right now. Meaning to say that all of those things are just this pipeline allowing the highest light to come down to the bottom, so that the bottom, this world, becomes fully rectified. And then everything returns back into God. When that happens, says Reb Chaim Vital, the letter Yud, the letter Vav of the Yud K Vav K is going to become a Yud, because the letter Vav is going to become complete, and it too is going to possess all 10 Sfirot, which means this idealized name of Hashem is going to become Yud He, Yud He. Because the Vav in the middle is going to, it's going to become Yud He, Yud He. That's right. Because the Vav is going to turn into a Yud. That incomplete thing, that sixth Sfirot, is going to become complete and become 10 Sfirot. Now listen to this. When I was talking about God reuniting with Himself, I don't know if you're following me, but maybe this will be clear. When that aspect of creation becomes completely full and rectified, you're going to have Yud He and Yud He. Now remember, Yud He is the name of God. And it says, the Navi Zechariah says that in the end of days, I will be one and my name will be one. I will be one and my name will be one. So the rabbis say, wait a second, God, aren't you one right now? And he says, yeah, I am one, but my name isn't one. Meaning to say, the entire world doesn't recognize me in a unified way as being the God of existence, as being reality itself. And so when God's name, when the incompleteness of the world, when that Vav in the middle of God's name becomes a Yud, it's going to be Yud He, Yud He, meaning to say that I am one, and in the lower worlds, my name is one. In other words, my name will be recognized in this dimension and recognized fully the way it is in the highest dimensions. I will be one and my name will be one. Is that clear?
Yeah, it's also how Alenu ends.
Right. And so you see that, you actually see the journey of creation, the evolution of the revelation of the oneness of God is going to be reflected in the spelling of the name of God Himself. So the idea that the Shekhinah, God's revealed presence, is in exile in this world. So I'll tell you a story that the Rizhiner Rebbe was like the dean of all the Rebbes. All the Rebbes went to see the Rizhiner. And the Rizhiner was really like bringing back the glory of Malchus Beis David. And he dressed in incredible finery, and he had like a golden carriage and everything like this. But all of that was just for Kavod Torah. They say that he had like gold shoes, but that there were no bottoms on his shoes. And that when he'd walk through the snow, sometimes you'd see a trail of blood on the snow because there were no bottoms. Because the only reason why he was wearing them was that people should feel proud to be Jewish. Amazing. Like the level that he was at. Well, because he sort of had all this outward finery, there was a rumor spread about him that he wanted to make an overthrow of the Tsar of Russia, and that he was going to be the Tsar of Russia, which, if you know anything about anything, is the most ridiculous thing in the entire world. Why would a Hasidic Rebbe want to become the Tsar of Russia. It makes nothing about it makes sense. But this rumor got out there, and the Tsar at the time, I don't know if any of the Tsars were ever popular ever, but this particular Tsar, right, was not popular. And I heard from Reb Shlomo that one time the Rishner Rebbe was traveling, and all of the townspeople came out at night, and they stood on the side of the road with lit candles as a way of like honoring him and showing their reverence for his holiness, you know? And not so long after that happened, the Tsar went through, and there was one guy with one candle. And somehow word got out that, oh, you should have seen it when the Rishner was here. And the Tsar got very jealous. And I'm sure there were other factors as well, but they threw the Rishner in prison, a very dark, dank Russian dungeon. And finally, the Rishner was able to get out of there at some point. I'm not sure exactly how, but they let him out at some point. But here's the point of everything that I'm telling you. He said, my biggest concern my entire time that I was in prison was that I had brought the Shekhinah into this place with me. And I just felt so horrible that I had brought the Shekhinah down to this horrible level of exile. So there's a lack in this dimension that we're in right now. And by doing Torah and by doing mitzvahs, we get to fill it with light. But what I'm trying to explain to you is that there's an aspect of Hashem that's in exile from himself. And that when we do mitzvahs and when we do Torah, that we'll succeed in the most far out macro way of uniting Hashem with himself. Because Hashem is on a level of exile, on some level from himself. Because he's not able to give the full amount of revelation and good that he wants to give. So when you do a mitzvah, you are actually participating in uniting Hashem with Hashem. Which is like, can you imagine like a greater privilege? Can you imagine a greater privilege? You know, I'll tell you something, which is, we have a mitzvah, and for a lot of children who go to Jewish schools, it's the first mitzvah that they learn about. It's called Hashavas Aveda, returning lost objects. And if you look at the way the word Hashavas is spelled, it's actually spelled Hashabat. Because on Shabbat, we're able on a very deep way to return God back to himself. Because this world gets returned back from exile and back from brokenness.
So how does this all relate to Pesach?
Okay, so let's bring it to Pesach. So the Ishbitzer says something unbelievable, which is, if you take the word mitzvah, and let's spell it top to bottom again. So it's mem, tzadi, vav. Remember we were talking about the vav, right? Mem, tzadi, vav, hey, mitzvah. And what did Hashem do? He leapt over the houses, right? He leapt over all the houses. So the Ishbitzer says that Hashem leapt over the letter Vav. And when you take the Vav out of the word mitzvah, what do you have? Matzah. In other words, on a very, very deep level, based on the Torah that we were learning in the beginning, God on Pesach is removing the brokenness from the world. Right? Because the Vav is not a Yud. The Vav is only 6 Sfirot, it's not 10 Sfirot. And so on Pesach, Hashem is completely leaping over any incomplete aspects of this world. And he's coming straight to us. And what is he doing by leaping over the brokenness of the world? He's freeing us to be with him. You see, what does it mean to be free? Okay? So, it's not to be free from God. It's to be free for God. What does it mean to be free for God? That means that I realize that there's nothing stopping me from serving him. That the only reason why I'm here is just to do good. I'm sure the person who I heard it from is here in the room, so don't be shy. Tell me who you are, because I'm gonna say it over, because I've been trying to do it, and I want to urge you all to do it if you didn't pick it up when it was said the first time. But I love this idea. You know, I've talked before about this golden moment that every one of us has every single day, which is when you put your head on your pillow, you've said all of your good nights. It's done. It's just you and sleep ahead of you. Like it's a wonderful moment. Like it's like you did it. Okay? So what do you do with that golden moment? So this is after Shema. This is when it's just, you're all done. Everything is done. Everything. So what I was suggesting, and I'm going to bring up what I had heard in a moment, but what I was suggesting, just to review, just to, is use that moment to go over the Torah that you learned that day. And it's such a golden opportunity. But here's the thing that I heard, and again, don't be shy, whoever told me this. Also, think about one nice thing you're going to do for someone else the next day.
That was me. Who was it?
I don't know. Who was it? Was it you? Is it you? Who was it? Was it you? Okay, guys, I'm telling you, I've been trying to do it, and it is the best way. Before you lose consciousness, you just think of one person who you want to do something nice for the next day, and you get to go to sleep that way. Oh my goodness. It's really good. It's really good. It's really, really good.
How often do you do that?
I just started.
Okay.
And can I tell you something? It's not as easy as it sounds. Because you got to think. You got to think, because it's kind of like, not, I hope I do good tomorrow, or bless me God, I should do good tomorrow. You actually have to think a little bit at a moment when you are really ready to check out. I'll tell you one last thing. I think we're at the time.
No, we're not.
So I heard this from a Chabad rabbi, Rabbi Shanowitz, who I was learning with many years ago. And he gave advice to people who are having trouble going to sleep. So if you're having trouble going to sleep, listen to this. Take this seriously, okay? Because it works. It's good advice. If you're lying on the pillow and you can't get to sleep, think about Torah. And the reason is because it's the Yetzer Hara that's keeping you up. And the Yetzer Hara says, you know what, if he's going to learn Torah, I might as well let him go to sleep.
That's great. I like that. That's great.
It's true and it works. It's true and it works.
But if you're thinking about Torah, isn't the Satan going to try harder to get you to not think about it?
By making you go to sleep.
But isn't he going to keep you up if he's trying to
Oh, it puts you to sleep. So Reb David,
You're right. He's gonna stop
if it
you
doesn't
by
work,
making you go to
and if
sleep.
it doesn't work, great.
Yeah,
can
it
you-
is the classic win-win. It is the classic win-win. You either get to sleep and you need your sleep, so you have strength to serve God, or you're able to chazer over like Torah, and then you know it better. And the Torah that you learn on your pillow in this state, I'm telling you, like God gives you a special bracha for that Torah. You're going to get clarity. You're going to learn it in a way that you didn't learn it earlier, and things are going to come to you. Really, I've seen that. It's like all the crookedness of all the learning like straightens out into really nice smooth lines.